What does it mean to call someone an animal? What does it mean to be inhuman? To put it another way, what are the characteristics of humanity that set us apart from other animals and great apes? Dutch psychologist Frans De Waal believes that question is misleading in itself. That's not to suggest that there are no differences between humans and other animals. Rather, De Waal suggests that all our human characteristics evolved from and can be glimpsed in other animals. They may not always be so well developed in other animals, but they're there. Our tendency towards patriotism and nationalism is mirrored in the group living and intergroup violence of other primates. Our inherent sense of justice has parallels not only in primate behaviour, but also the reciprocal behaviours and outrage at cheats of a range of mammals from the great apes to wolves and even bats. Our species' tendency to experiment with varying methods of heterosexual and homosexual sex is shared throughout the natural world, especially amongst our close cousins, the bonobos. Human charity and selfless altruism exist not only among many animals, but indeed our rather weak-willed version of kindness is far surpassed by many, not least by the social insects. In short, De Waal argues that there's very little about humanity that can't also be found elsewhere in the animal kingdom. Even our cultural development, such as fidelity, fealty, and honesty, have their roots deep in our evolutionary past. Veneer theory is also interested in human culture, but it differs from naturalistic theory in that veneer theorists see human culture as an almost artificial overlay, a veneer laid on top of human society but lacking in other animals. As we know already from our earlier discussion on evolutionary theory, progress is gradual and each new development builds upon what's gone before. So it seems more than a little odd suddenly to change the rules just because we're talking about humans. In fact, from my perspective, it seems almost as though veneer theorists are trying to retain a sense of special status for humans. Of course, there's nothing new in this. Darwin's bulldog himself, Thomas Huxley, advocated much the same in the late 19th century. The term veneer theory itself is much more modern, being coined by De Waal himself as a label for the theory he was so keen to criticize in his book, Primates and Philosophers. It's unfortunate that the whole of veneer theory rests upon the idea that human morality appeared by chance without, so far as I've been able to ascertain, any evidence supporting that idea at all. For me, veneer theory truly seems to be a mere act of faith. As such, I'll devote no more time to it, at least not in its purest sense. Robert Wright attempts to bridge the gap in his book, The Moral Animal. His argument is sometimes expressed as the Russian doll theory, in which every evolved individual contains within it an infinite regression of evolutionary predecessors. Russian doll theory sees morality, and by extension culture, as the inevitable result of evolved animal expediency. Whereas chimps are territorial and aggressive towards incomers for practical reasons, we humans rationalize our evolved nationalistic brutality and develop a cultural veneer called loyalty. In this way, we can pretend that our patriotic, I might even say jingoistic or nationalistic viciousness is somehow moral, and yet the primate drive remains. Australopithecus afarensis, Homo erectus, and Homo habilis might be just beneath the veneer of the outermost Russian doll of Homo sapiens. Let's take an example. Empathy. That perennial favourite of anti-evolutionary creationists involves two distinct traits. Humans generally possess both of these. One, emotional contagion. experiencing what others feel, the emotional equivalent of a contagious yawn. And 2, empathy, the ability to understand another individual's feelings intellectually without necessarily feeling the full weight of it yourself. Interestingly, all the non-human great apes, together with elephants and dolphins, demonstrate emotional contagion, although only humans and bonobos have been shown to possess empathy. In other words, the human trait of empathy is just as evolved as our bipedal gait and our opposable thumbs. As it stands currently, I find myself convinced of naturalistic veneer theory in its expression as the Russian doll theory, but I may well be wrong. If you know better, please let me know. I'm Stuart Sorensen, and this is Mind the Care training. If you found this video useful or helpful in any way, please feel free to share it around and click the like button. Oh yes, and while you're at it, if you click on the little character icon that's on your screen right now, you can subscribe to the channel and you won't miss any other videos. Thank you for watching.